G'day, listeners. Welcome back to another episode of the Talking Parra podcast, week number 24, episode number 24 of the podcast. And what a week it's been. A massive win against the Broncos, a massive game for the Eels up against the Storm coming up this Thursday against at CommBank Stadium for a chance to get into the top four. We're going to chat about that. We're going to chat about the Broncos game. We're going to go through some Melbourne v Parramatta memories, some good ones, some bad ones. We're going to talk a little bit about the Nrlw, but we have Hayden from the Entertain House. We have Maddie from Tate Sports Cards. We have myself, Troy from the Parra podcast, and we have our gracious host, Mr. Adam Martin. How are we going, Adam? Over to you, mate.
Gracious host. That's a big word for you, Troy. Yeah, I'm wonderful, mate. As you said, we're obviously going to touch on the massive game this week, and look, we'll talk about it more later, but I actually think this is our biggest home game, not including finals, our biggest home game in, it's hard to really determine. I'm going to say it's our biggest home game since we played the Broncos in 2005, all right, for the minor premiership. That's honestly how I feel about this weekend. So not taking finals games into consideration. It's obviously 2009. We had some big games, 2017, all those years, but for the stakes that are on the line, I think that's our biggest game in that long. So we'll get to that later. First, I want to give a shout out to all the listeners, the whole four of you. And however many actually do listen, all the listeners, I want to say that to those who messaged me last week and said, "You are dreaming, you're an idiot. We're not going to put 50 on Brisbane. You are an idiot. Your score is so crazy." I heard it from everyone. I even heard it from your own brother. Look, I am an idiot. You know why? Because I didn't back our defence enough. I knew we'd score 50 points. I knew we were going to turn one on. But I thought we'd concede some more, and we didn't. Maybe if Reynolds stayed on the field, we might have conceded some more, or maybe defensively we're just having one of those games. But obviously, look, we come away with a 53-6 win. Huge result. Troy, I'll let you go first because I know you were there in the hype, in the moment. We obviously did our little live game show and we crossed you. How was it? How was the atmosphere, first of all?
Yeah, look, I think the atmosphere was a little bit dull, to be honest, only because there was 30,000 there. I thought there was going to be more than that. What I didn't realise before going into the game was on the Friday it was actually a Queensland public holiday. So that's probably why they had the game on the Thursday. So I thought there might have been more people there. They had the week before they had 42,000 against Melbourne. So I thought this game they might have had more. With a lot of the Broncos fans obviously thinking they were going to go into the game and win it.
They did get pumped by 60 the week before though, which surely would have affected their crowd a little.
Potentially. But they did go into this game knowing that they'd beaten us before down in CommBank Stadium, so they might have had a little bit more confidence, maybe a bit of a fight back as well. But other than that, there was a lot of blue and gold around, as per usual. Was pretty fortunate enough to sit with the game with Big Tukey, Mark Tukey. For our younger listeners, front row forward for the Eels from about 98 to about 2000, I think. He was the cult hero probably before Fui. So the big chant to go around the ground, Tooks or Tukey, and then it was Fui, and then had the privilege of
no one.
Well, you've got the Sevo chant that goes up every now and again.
Yeah.
But I couldn't really hear you guys for the live cross at half time.
Did you have a few too many waters as well, or?
Yeah, lemonades, actually. Lemonades.
Lemonades.
Lemonades. So, but without the headphones, I couldn't really hear you guys. They got the big music playing at halftime and stuff like that, so, and the crowd around. So, but, it was a good night, great result, and, it was great to be there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think we were all meant to go up, weren't we? And we all dogged it. We said we'll save our money for a possible trip to Melbourne, which we now look likely to avoid, most likely to avoid, to be honest. So, let's talk. I'll go through my moments of the game and obviously the game itself. Like I said, I expected a big win. I expected our attack to click. I still thought in patches we were poor once again, that period after half time, but we also were just completing our sets, which was good to see. So it was a 53-6 win. We completed 78%. Which isn't always easy to do when you've had so much ball and you've had so many attacking chances, because naturally you're going to get a bit of white line fever. You're going to want to play attacking football. So I thought we did well to, one, settle ourselves in the second half, just get back to playing our game, and two, not going away from our game plan. I think the only time we went away from our game plan was to score that last try of the game, because we obviously really wanted to put 50 on them. For some reason, we really wanted to put 50 on them when other games when we've had a chance to put big scores on, we haven't. So I don't know what that was about, but it was good to see it happen anyway. For the game, Matt, I'll go to you now. Your thoughts on the actual game?
Yeah, entertaining, as you said. And that there was about looked like we weren't going to score in the second half again, but we finally clicked into gear in the last 10 minutes to get a few tries on the board. Same as against the Bulldogs. There was a period there after halftime where we didn't even look like it. Just kept dropping the ball. It's like they get into this rhythm and then try and score off every play instead of settling it down. But yeah, it was a entertaining game, and I'm spewing we didn't go up because I still haven't witnessed Parra winning at Broncos State at Suncorp yet. So hopefully in the future we can get up there and run amok.
Yeah, for sure. Look, it was one of those games that said we had to win in the forwards. I said that in the podcast last week, and I said our forwards had to step up, obviously, against Payne Haas. I thought Brisbane missed Carrigan majorly. Have a pretty average team without him, but Junior ran for 160 off 18 runs. Campbell Gillard, 17, 184. And it come off the bench because, Matty, you called it, the Murata would start, but Madison come on and 17 runs, 153 metres in 56 minutes. So certainly did give it to him in the forwards. I thought Lane, once again, was brilliant. Hayden, we'll go to you. Your thoughts on the game, and then we'll get rolling around with your moment of the game as well.
Yeah, you mentioned Lane there. I'm going to give Laney my man of the match for this game. We had a successful stream the other day. It was a lot of fun with you boys. And Troy, you may not have been able to hear us, but we could hear you. So it was great to have that live cross from the atmosphere. Yeah, it was a great captain's knock as well from Clint Gutherson. He's been in some really good form coming into these final series. And I mentioned it all throughout that game. I thought Moses' passing game, obviously, he's had a lot of tries come off the boot this season, even the most try assists for the season. But I thought his actual passing game and setting up those moments and plays to create those tries that getting us over the line, it was a great victory. And, for me, Sean Lane, man of the match.
Yeah, wonderful. Troy, I'll go to your moment of the game, and obviously man of the match as well.
Yeah, I probably have to agree with Hayden there. Probably Sean Lane. He's just been playing out of his skin this year. He's probably career best season for Sean Lane. Just his way to break the line and get that offload, usually off to Gutho, and then it's either Gutho scoring or Gutho out the back to somebody else. Look, moment of the game. Look, it was probably Mitchell Moses' try, actually. Just the vision that he had down that short side, the cutout pass to Wonga Blake, and then Blake back inside to Moses, and then try time. That was a real indication that he's playing eyes up footy, and just he can see what's going on down that short side, and to go down there and try and score a try, it's unbelievable, because most people would have went down the open side, not the blind side. But Clint Gutherson, he was a close second to Sean Lane, I thought. He obviously scored 2 tries on Thursday night. It's a career best season try tally for Gutho with 14 tries. So well done to him. He was a close second. And it was the offload game was back as well. So we hadn't seen that for a while. But there was a lot of offloads, which it was good to see. And one of them was Junior Paolo hanging out in the backs and passing it to was it Sivo, and then Sivo getting the first try. So
out there in Dave Taylor territory.
That's it, Matty. You touched on it in the second half. There was about 4 or 5 restarts that we got, and Brisbane just held us out. And then finally Papali'i got over and scored. But so that was a little bit of a concern, but I didn't think it really mattered in the context of the game with the score of the game.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give you my moment first, and we'll go to Matt after me. But my moment of the game was actually Gutho's try. The one, I don't know if it was his first or second. I think it might have been his second try. No, I think it was his first, actually. When Reid threw a long pass to Junior, we ran a double block play with a double sweep with both Brown and Moses sweeping. The ball from Junior to throw a cutout pass to a block play as a front rower after receiving a 25-metre pass from your hooker under the post was this. I was just in awe of it. I was sitting there, I said it live, didn't I, boys? I just kept talking about how good that pass was. And the impressive thing for me was not just that try. Obviously, Gutho goes over. The impressive thing for me is something I spoke about earlier, I think last week or maybe the week before. What I noticed at the back end of last year when we struggled to form for a while, we didn't struggle as much this year, and I noticed it in the Brisbane game where they touched us up. We started changing, and the South Sydney game, we've started changing our plays up. We did it last year. The years before, we didn't do it. The years before we didn't do it, we went into the finals and we were sitting ducks when we got to the finals. I was calling for it last year with about 6-7 rounds ago. I said, we need to change the up. We need to change the up. The last time we did it was 2017. Obviously, we almost beat Melbourne. We did. It looked like it finally executed on the weekend. Sorry, on Thursday. It wasn't the weekend. It was on Thursday. And it was impressive to me to see we've changed those plays. I was looking for those short side raids, and all of a sudden we look like a different attacking team with a lot more attacking threats across the field. My man of the match, obviously, Nrlw mentioned the junior for those reasons, but it was Gutho. It's a good captain's knock. 2 tries, assists, 189 metres, and effort in everything he did. His kick returns, his online defence, anything really he did. The one-on-one steal he got as well. We can't really see much of that from Parramatta players. So, Gutho is definitely my man of the match, but obviously the moment was that try, and so it was just an impressive attacking performance. Obviously, when you score 50 points, you can say that. Defensively, we did our job. They didn't really offer much at us, to be honest. I wish we let Corey Oates score. Matthew.
Yeah. We were saying it the other week. Certain pass, it's like they wait. They haven't thrown any trick shots like that at teams all year, and it was like they're ready to go in the semis. And we saw it. Actually, it was against Brisbane just before halftime, where we were 12 men on the field against them at CommBank, and they've done that little trick play where they got a 3-man overlap out of nowhere. And it just, on the Thursday, it showed they can pull little trick plays, and yeah, it's changed up. My moment, I'm going to say Gutho is probably my man in the match, because finally, as a fullback, he's pushing through. We've seen it too many times where people have got their hands free and he's ready to set up the next play rather than pushing through. So it's good to see the last couple of weeks him pushing through and capitalizing on the tries. And yeah, my moment of the match, Troy stole it. I think Mitch plays his best football where he's off the leash, as we say, where he just looks up and does the count and sees. I think we score the most points. I think they were saying the most tries down the short side when we do those short side raids. I think they said we got the better strike rate.
Did you just say we score the most points down the short side when we do the short side raid?
No, you know what I mean. We're out of all the NRL teams, we have more. We're more successful at it. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, Matty, I'll let you have I'll let you have that moment. I'll sort of go along with Adam and just say Clint Gutherson's pass then to Wonga Blake for his try. It was a great cutout pass, and then it scored. But shout out to Channel 9 who flashed up on the screen on the Sunday Footy Show, who were doing their recap of the game, and they had this thing down the bottom of the screen saying it was the first time that Parramatta have scored 50 points against the Broncos in Queensland. Hello, 52-34, 2017 semi, 4 tries. But anyway, they missed that one.
They missed that. Classic Channel 9, the Footy Show. Really going nowhere, isn't it?
Well, it is Sunday morning.
I can't remember the last time I watched it. I used to.
Andrew Johns tear his Hemi or something. Did you see that on the Footy Show live? That was funny.
I'm sure
tried to dunk
I switched off for that.
Sure, there's some things. Sure, some things you can take that'll fix that. All right, let's go through the results. Troy, I'm going to give you the pleasure to go through the results of the NRLW, maybe the New South Wales Cup results as well, and whatever else you want to go through. It's just going to be your moment.
Okay, well, we've got the NRLW. It was round 2. Parramatta took on the Dragons at CommBank Stadium. 2 weeks in a row we've played the premiers and we've played the grand finalists. So a tough start for the Eels leading into this game, but it was a much better performance than round one. It was 16-10 to the Dragons. They got away with the win, but there was 2 great tries. Well, the Eels only scored 2 tries, but those 2 tries from the Eels were outstanding tries. One to Tiana Penatani and one to Gail Broughton, the new Kiwi fullback gold medalist from New Zealand. So those 2 tries were outstanding. So if you get a chance, go back and check those ones out. So the Eels have got Newcastle this week up there at Newcastle, I believe at 12 p.m, I think, on Sunday. So Newcastle are the form team of the competition at the moment. So they're 2 from 2. So it's going to be another tough challenge. We did have 4 Eels debutants, but only 3 of them were NRLW debutants play on the weekend. So another tough ask for the women's team. The knock-on effect cup, 24-4 win over the Knights. So that sees them into the semi-finals. I think they play the Bulldogs, I think.
Yeah, changed to the top 5 this year, I noticed, which is absolutely perfect for a 12-team competition. I'll go through the top 5 quickly, Troy, before you go on with it.
Yeah, mate.
One I'm familiar with in Newcastle, we've had that competition in Newcastle, so that finals in Newcastle for years. We've got 10 teams now. We used to have 8 teams, and there's obviously been teams come and go over the years. But the top 5 is obviously first gets the week off. 4th and 5th, which is us, we finish 5th. We play the Bulldogs in an elimination semi-final. And then 2nd and 3rd play each other. The winner obviously plays the person who had the week off first place next week for a spot in the grand final. And the loser obviously plays the winner of 4th and 5th. So we'll need to beat the Bulldogs. Every game for us is must win, as it would be if we finish in the bottom 8 in the current system anyway. Every game is must win, but yeah, we have to win pretty much 4 games to win the comp. Look, the disadvantage of a top 5, which doesn't affect us, is who ended up coming first, do we know? I'll get it up.
I think Newtown,
Penrith were there for ages, weren't they? Don't they?
Yeah, Newtown scraped in by 1 point.
First minor premiership, I think, in...
Was it a draw, that game? They decided it. Newtown drew the other day, yeah.
I'm getting on it now. Yeah, Newtown...
23 all, wasn't it?
22 all, yeah. Which
yeah.
got them ahead by 1 point, actually, which is funny. But yeah, Newtown have finished first. The disadvantage of that top 5 is, for Newtown, they now get a week off. They win a game, they go on a grand final, they get another week off. Look, some can see it as an advantage, some can see it as a disadvantage. It's just happened in Newcastle. Maitland finished first, got the week off, won the game on the weekend. Now we've got a grand final in 2 weeks' time at McDonald Jones Stadium. We played 2 games in 4 weeks, so which will be interesting. I sent you boys through some of the highlights from that game and some of the shots, and the biggest hit I've ever seen on the rugby league field, to be honest. It was absolutely massive. But enough about the Newcastle comp, because I hate the Knights, but I love my local team. But yeah, going to that top 5. So look, we'll play the Bulldogs. North Sydney will play Penrith. If we win, we'll be playing North Sydney or Penrith the week after, which once again we've got to win, and then we'll either play Newtown, North Sydney, or Penrith the week after. So the boys have hit form at the right time of the year, haven't they? They've snuck in there. I didn't realise it was a top 5 until the season finished. Until I saw the finals put up, I thought, I wonder if we're playing St George on 24 points, but it'd be interesting how they can pan out that year and hopefully go all the way.
It's a throwback to the 80s, isn't it? With the first grade top 5 and what you were just talking about there with a week off. I think that's sort of reminiscent of South Sydney. I think they were minor premiers in 89 and couldn't get the job done that year.
It's very common, isn't it? Very common. Another team in Newcastle, I know this, won every game in one of the lower divisions, won every game, went into a top 5 and lost the first week they played. And now they've got to play a game to get in the grand final. The team they beat them, finished second, absolutely pummeled them on the weekend. So it can happen. It's an interesting competition. It's probably one of those competitions that we say in the NRL, you don't want to finish outside the top 4, but you're playing for every game. In the New South Wales Cup, it's not too bad because you've got to turn up every game. You can't have a week off the first week, if you finish in the top 4. So it's not a bad result for us, obviously, playing the Bulldogs first week 1. So.
Yeah, well, it was a 24-4 win against the Knights, and Sean Russell, again, on the try scorers list. got a double. Zach Sini got a double as well. So he's been playing some good footy this year.
Who else scored, Troy?
Yeah, who else scored? Can you tell us who else scored?
Hayden, you want to have a guess, mate? You want to have a guess?
Nathan Brown. I don't know.
Nah, he's out injured. Your favourite, was it five or 6 game?
He's actually, I think he's coming up.
Ron got a try.
Yes. So he got a try in the 46 minutes. So.
I thought with that try, he may have been playing his 7th debut game this week, but he's on the extended bench. You never know what could happen. So
yeah, the good luck to the boys in the knock-on effect cup.
The captain coach.
Yeah, very rare, isn't it?
It's dead set reminds me of the local competition so much. Captain coaches, top 5s. Wonderful. All right, Jersey Flag, did they play?
No, they did, but they got a win in their last game, but they haven't qualified for the finals, unfortunately. So 2023 for them.
Yeah, boys. How'd the Wentworthville Magpies go in the Jim Beam Cup?
Absolutely no idea, mate.
I just thought I'd throw it out. While we're going around the grounds, thought I may as well. All right, let's move on. Look, it's a big week for us. As I said earlier, I think it's our biggest home game since 2005. We're going to throw a spanner works and put some extra agenda. If anyone wants to doubt me on that, the biggest home game you guys think, Parramatta's biggest home game you've either been to or not been to. Troy, you're the oldest, so you can go first.
Jeez, putting me on the spot there.
Look,
maybe there was some like big games in 2009 as well, especially in that back half of the season. Had to win every game to qualify for the finals. So maybe there was some big games. One against the Tigers there, where Jared Haynes scored that chip and chase try. That comes to mind.
That was away, but that wasn't at home. But yep.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that was a big game, and
it was at the SMS. Yep.
Anyway, a big game at home. Can he come back to me?
I thought you might have said the 2005 game against the Dragons, the famous Trent. Was that 2005? Trent Barrett, PJ Marsh.
Yeah.
I think about that game. We had some cracking games. 2005. Hayden, all right, you've been to however many games in your life. Give me one.
Oh, mate, I guess I've been to more recent games. One I can think of, which is kind of that scenario back in 2020 where we were playing that top 4 spot at home against the Tigers, and really, really behind the whole game. We were really struggling, and I think it was the final 15 minutes where we were down by about 12 points and managed to secure a top 4 spot. And then obviously the knockout against the Brisbane Broncos, the first finals game at the new Bankwest Stadium.
Sorry, Hayden, I'm going to cut you off. I've excluded finals. We're just going regular season.
Regular season.
It's very strict.
Please, no, we're talking about the regular season.
Let's go the Tigers in 2020. Securing that top 4.
Cool. Thanks for your input, Hayden. Always appreciate it. I'm going to give Matt a chance because I've got mine. I come up on the spot because I usually do that as I think it. I hope I steal yours, Matt. I'm going to give an honourable mention to the 2019 last round against Manly, 6 o'clock on a Friday game. We beat Manly to finish above them. Sivo scored a hat-trick, I believe, and took out the top try scorer in that game. The reason I like that game so much is I had a bet going with one of the blokes from work who was a Manly supporter that we finish above him. It was a year-long bet, and he was confident going in that last game. We had to beat him by 14 points or whatever, and we ended up doing it. Turned over a differential of 26. I think it was 13 points or 11 or something. Anyway, either way, we got it. That's my honourable mention. I'm going to give an honourable mention to the 2010 game against the Melbourne Storm, where they come back after being dirty cheats. I didn't swear. Could go about them. And like I said, I was talking to you boys about off air. There was 20,000 sellout crowd. We got hit by an East Coast low. Me and my brother drove from Parramatta, usually about an hour 40 trip. It took us about 3.5 hours due to the weather conditions. Got there as pouring. Actually, it wasn't that bad on the game. Was actually pretty good, and I've never heard a more aggressive, passionate Parramatta crowd. Obviously there was the famous one of Jared Haynes' headbutt where Slater got sin-binned and Mortimer got sin-binned as well. And the Slater's a wanker chant went around. There was people offering. I saw a bloke get arrested because he was hanging over the fence to one of the Melbourne forwards offering him $50. And the cop goes, "Mate, you can't do that." He goes, "Oh, do you want it instead?" He got arrested for offering a cop a bribe. It was just a great night at Parramatta.
I'm just going to jump in there. You can have that game as your memorable
that was just an honourable mention. That was an honourable mention.
Honourable
That was
mention.
going to be
Okay,
my game, but anyway.
I'm sorry, I told you I'd take one.
Okay, well, you can have it as your game, but I'll just jump in there. That was the 4th of June, 2010, and that was my now wife's birthday, 30th birthday, and that's the night that I proposed to her. So I wasn't at that game. I was at Hugo's in Manly having dinner, and then after dinner, proposed to the wife, and she said yes, and then we went back to the hotel.
Oh, we don't want to know.
No. Hang on.
And he watched the replay.
Family-friendly podcast.
I won't tell you what happened after, but we went back to the hotel, and back in those days, there was the 2 games on a Friday night on Channel 9.
Yeah.
And our game was at the actual second game. So it was on at about 10 o'clock at night or something like that. So watch the replay, and then I won't go any further after that. But she said yes, and we're still married today. So remember that night quite clearly.
Yeah, it's a good story about a successful marriage. I would know about that. Anyway, look, going back to that moment, Troy, I think you missed an opportunity to take her to the game and propose to her at the game, but each to their own. Now, I'll get to my mention, my actual one. I've given you 2 examples. I know, Troy. Don't worry, mate. I'll take that opportunity for us next time. So 2005, I believe it was round 26 back then. Parramatta versus Brisbane. I can't remember the score. Don't ask me if anyone's got a computer handy and wants to quickly look that up. I believe it was about 26-12 or something along those lines. We ran away at the end. Sold out crowd Friday night. Went down with my dad, my brother, and one of my brother's mates was a Brisbane fan. It's nice. We're playing for the minor premiership in 2005 against Brisbane. We had to win that game. Sadly, it was the night that our season ended, even though we won the minor premiership because Nathan Highmarsh got injured, did his knee. The Heine chant was going around. It was it kind of ruined the night, but it just, for me, that was the biggest, not my best moment, but it was the biggest home game I've seen at Parramatta. Matt, we'll go to you.
Yeah, other than the 2010 game was probably my biggest. It was just, Slater and Hayne at it all game. Other than that, I'm going to say probably when Jason Taylor broke the record for most points. That was a pretty...
62-0 against the Cowboys.
Yeah, that was a pretty full-on game. I missed the what was it, 74-4 game against Cronulla. I missed that, but I got to witness history in the making, and I've still got the jersey signed with the score and everything hanging up in the wardrobe. So, yeah, pretty good.
Cool. All right, I guess the moments. Obviously, we've all been a lot of games. Yep.
So
Troy's got another one.
2005, Adam, is that what you're saying? Against the Brisbane Broncos? 28-14, we got the win.
I'd say I was close. It was
2 tries to Dean Winners, Luke Burt, Ben Smith, Michael Vella, Luke Burt 4 from 5.
Wonderful, thank you, Troy.
20,000 crowd. So honourable mentions for myself is obviously the 2016 game against the Dragons, the closing of the last game at Parramatta Stadium. That was a big game because, so many memories at Parramatta Stadium. So
please tell me you're going to say the opening of the next one because none of us have mentioned it and I just realised.
Absolutely. So the closing of the Parramatta Stadium, Pertec Stadium as it was known, back then in 2016, we got the win against the Dragons in a almost similar score to what the opening game was. And then, obviously the 2019 Easter Monday game against the Tigers. That was a massive game because it was the opening of the new stadium, sellout crowd, and just that moment when Mitchell Moses scored that try in the corner. That roar from the crowd, it was just monumental.
The first time that we heard him crap on about the stadium and obviously, the sound and how the sound's going to travel in the amphitheatre and stuff with the ground being built in. And it's the first time we heard him run out and stuff, but obviously there's music playing, you're yelling yourself, you're not concentrating. The first time we actually got to hear that roar was then. It was unbelievable. So, well,
Mitchell got the first try, the first goal, the first field goal. He was on fire. The first win as well. So on fire. But great day.
Enough against the Tigers. Yep.
I remember being at that game, and I remember that sign that was shown on TV right in front of me, that the dawning of a new era, and that will just stick with me forever. yeah, Troy absolutely summed it up with that atmosphere there. It was insane. And we actually went into that game as underdogs as well. The Tigers were playing some great footy. I'm not sure if you know it. Tigers were about $1.80. We were $2. So I remember getting on the $2 at that time and the opening of Bank West. No one was with Parramatta that day.
Did you say the Tigers are playing great football? It was 2019, not 2005.
I didn't say well, they weren't playing final-like footy, but it was early in the season.
It was early in the season, Easter Monday.
Yeah, they always start. I like when both teams start well because we know we're going to play at the start of the year. I used to love when the game was at ANZ because, which it probably will be next year because it's their turn to host the Easter Monday game again. And yeah, I love it when both teams go well because you know you're going to get a bumper. You know, the first few years we had it 50,000 back to back, pretty much. So, like I love 30,000 at Bank West, CommBank, whatever you want to call it, but when they host it, you know you're going to get a 50,000 crowd there at ANZ with the Easter show next door. You know you're going to get 25,000, 30,000 Parramatta fans there anyway. So, you know, like we know how well we travel. Let's go from the positives to the negatives. And funny enough, I mentioned the Melbourne Storm. Look, there's no secret I hate them. I really fucking hate them. I'm not even going to hold back my swearing anymore. The kids are going to bed. It's 9:07. Listen to this at night time, people. I really hate them. And I've got my reasons. I'm going through my reasons. We spoke about a lot of it last night, but look, 98, 99, I was pretty young to remember. Troy, you would have been, what, 26 then?
20 in 1998. So 2021.
Yeah, so the glory years, Troy. Give me a quick rundown on 99. I know there's some controversial moments. I've watched the highlights. I've watched the game actually last year. Was it Penner that got his head taken off, or was it someone else? Someone got the head taken off. By Kearns or Kearney, Stephen Kearney.
Yeah, Stephen Kearney. I think it was an elbow to Jason Smith, actually, and I think that took him out of the game. Funnily enough, we had another lead in that game as well at halftime. I think it was like 16-2 or something ridiculous like that. And then Melbourne just came over the top and with Smithy, one of our gun players, out of the game, didn't help. But Stuart Kelly scored a great try in that game too.
Yeah, so let's move on to 2007.
That was a gun team, but for Parra, I remember that team. That was one of our best in ages back then.
Yeah, it was when we signed those three Bulldogs players, wasn't it? So Jimmy Dimmick, Jason Smith, who else was it?
Jared McCracken
and Dean Pay.
Nathan Barnes.
Yeah, we brought the Dogs of War over and they done us in 98. So, all right, let's go to 2007. I was down at 2007 game. We played, I dare say you would have been there, Troy. Hayden, you were probably still in nappies. Matt, were you there? No, you weren't there. Matt,
I wasn't there, mate.
Final?
Not 2007, no.
I remember I would have been.
Which one was that? I've been to that many.
At Telstra Dome.
Yeah, Telstra Dome.
We played him in 2006.
I had that. I was a chef back then, so I had the TV in the kitchen while I was doing a shift at work, and I kept running around the back watching the game.
So 2006, we actually got beat one as well, 12-6, first week of the finals, first versus eighth. I can't remember much about that game. I remember having no fingernails left watching it at home. It was obviously at the old Olympic Park then. But yeah, 2007, played him at Telstra Dome. It's a prelim final, 35,000. Remember Dad taking me down. We flew down in the morning about 6 o'clock. Got the early flight out of Newcastle. Walking around Melbourne all day, and we're just walking around Melbourne, and it's, for me, it's the first experience I have an interstate game at, like, obviously interstate finals game
in Melbourne. Yeah,
I can't say at Victoria, but yeah, interstate.
Short side down the short side.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Hayden's hasn't seen anything stupid tonight yet. But look, we're walking around. Me and Dad are walking around. We're just seeing Parramatta fans everywhere. You said something stupid before. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, no, Troy. No. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Anyway, 2007.
We're walking past Queen Victoria markets, and there's this homeless guy sitting there, right? And Dad, being a nice bloke, turns around this homeless guy who, obviously looked like having a bit of a rough time. And as we'd spent the money to go down, Dad probably won some kind of multi or some kind of horse racing to get us down there. He turned around and goes, "Oh, he made his $20." Flicks this bloke $20 who's got nothing but 20-cent pieces in there, and bloke goes, "Oh, go Melbourne, fuck Parra." I was like, "You ungrateful prick." That kind of summed
20 back.
Yeah, that's what I said. Dad, get it back. That kind of summed up the day. I remember sitting there in a pub with all these Parramatta fans, just watching the Parramatta fans build up. 34,000 people. It was back when Melbourne really didn't have a very suspicious membership that all of a sudden jumped very high this year when they brought in the last 3 game passes and pet memberships. But they didn't have the supporter base. They gave away 15,000 free tickets that game to get the crowd there. So out of the 35,000 people that turned up, there was probably 12 or 15,000 Parramatta fans, and there was 15,000 people on free tickets. So that sums up the agenda they had to make Melbourne good. Look, we got screwed. Inu's try would have been a try all year. It would have put us ahead by, I believe, 2 or 4 points, and they went up the other end and scored. So we got screwed in that game. And then obviously they end up being over the cap as well, which they still celebrate. 2009 grand final, not just the fact they're over the cap. Billy Slater's obviously dive before he grabs his leg and really doesn't grab his leg, makes a clean tackle around the legs and milks the guy the other end, kick a field goal. 2017, the robbery of 2017. This one hurts the most. I'm still angry about it. I still have nightmares about it. I still wake up and the sheets are a bit wet, and that's from sweat, guys. They're very sweaty sheets because I've been tossing and turning in the night. And look, the forward pass where they both grabbed the ball at the same time, the fact the escort was all of a sudden invented the next round one next year, but they didn't call it on Brad Takarangi, and they stood off the line. I remember leaving that game. I spoke about last week. I'm going to mention again. He's walking behind some big Parramatta fan, big Kiwi bloke, and he's just the whole way back to Melbourne. He's going, fuck, the whole way back, because he summed up exactly how I was feeling. And then, 2019, we went down there. I don't blame us for this one. I blame the media of Melbourne and the media of the NRL. They didn't turn up the week before. We obviously had a pretty easy run against Melbourne. Nothing really went against us that game, to be honest. It's a very rare one. Cameron Smith got sin-binned for giving it to Reid on the ground, but we just didn't turn up and they wanted it more. We obviously played them again in 2020 up at Suncorp, week 1. We absolutely gave it to them. I remember sitting at a wedding. I was sitting at a wedding watching it on my phone for a whole 2 hours, and all the boys kept bringing me beers. I stood up at full time and could barely walk, so I poured a few down. But once again, it was one of those games where everything just seemed to go their way. So, look, I fucking hate Melbourne. I've said it. I hate them. And
does anyone have any different games that disappoint you?
No, covered them off.
No, there's one that you have forgotten.
Go on, yep.
What was it? Magic Round, Brisbane.
Oh,
the birth of Ryan Pappenhausen. 64
I remember I was there.
12 or something like that.
64.
The amount of fans that left that venue as well was disappointing. Like, I know you hate to see it, but just to have our own Parramatta supporter bay, and there was probably only about, I would say about 50 people of the 200, 300 people in that section with 15 minutes to go. Like, obviously that scoreline was disappointing, and it took a while for, I think it was Blake Ferguson to score that late consolation try, but fans had just left the stands. It was pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I was going through finals game, Troy, and I never want to think about that game ever again. So now I am going to have nightmares again. But no, I want to tick it off because I want to talk positive now. All right, we've obviously all seen the negative, so I'll go to you first, Troy. It's rare, but first of all, you're obviously looking forward to the game. But your biggest win against Melbourne as a Parramatta supporter, obviously.
Oh, look, I mean, we've obviously had the run against Melbourne lately. So what is it? About 3-4 in a row that we've beaten them. Probably the game at I'll probably steal Hayden's here. I think the game at Combank Stadium where Sevo's caught the ball on the full and scored. Rainy night. A lot of people say, Melbourne did have players out, but you still got to play who's in front of you, no matter what. And we've seen it with Melbourne Storm. They have the next man up mentality. Probably that one. I mean, obviously one of the greatest ones that I've celebrated was this year when Ray Stone went over for that try off the Mitchell Moses field goal that hit the post. I've got a video of that, and I'm just going off, especially when they're going through the video to make sure that he's onside and all this and that. So those two probably stand out for me.
Yep. Hayden?
Yeah, Troy took the words out of my mouth with that game at Combank. The fact that it was so rainy and the completion rate between the game was so high. And look, I think for majority of the game, we were the better team. So I think you can say Parramatta were the better side, but Melbourne really gave it to us that game. I remember Justin Nrlw scoring a try late, which equaled up the scores. So it looked like it could have been my first EH Golden Point. It was my 100th NRL game attending and filming like a vlog. But as you said, that Mitchell Moses kick and that high chase for the ball to beat all the Melbourne players back on side and score that try, an unforgettable moment and an unforgettable win.
Yeah. Matt, you?
Yeah, mine's probably obviously 2010, the bit of a revenge we got on him. Slater, Hainsey, headbutting Slater, but yeah, probably that match against Combank. I think after the game, I was on Hayden's vlog and we were going mental because the amount of try savers in that game that it was ridiculous. Like
Gutho made so many, yeah.
So many. He held Nelson up. He stopped Tui scoring, even though Tui reckons he got it after the game when we were talking to him. And the one where he hit the ball, Munster just had to put it down and he slapped the ball out of Munster's hands. It was just an unbelievable game. And if it was any other night, I think it would have been a bigger crowd and better atmosphere. But just when Sivo scored that try, the people that were there was so good. So yeah, they're probably my favourite too.
Yeah, I believe there's about 16,000 there. But once again, I know what happened with us in Melbourne, but it was another East Coast low. I remember being in trouble for that game because obviously I had a 6-7 month old child at that stage, and the wife at the time wasn't happy that me and Dad went down. But it was one of those times I'm happy to have a 4-wheel drive on the freeway because it made it so much easier. But yeah, we didn't see a lot of wins from Parramatta, did we? So I've been through those heartaches of all those games I mentioned. I've been there live for nearly all of them. And to actually finally beat them, I'm not going to lie, I had a tear in my eye at that moment when we actually beat them. But the one thing I wanted was to see us beat them in Melbourne in a finals game. I haven't had that yet, but I was obviously there this year.
And you won't this year either.
No, not now. me, my suitcase. Well, it is still possible, actually. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. If they finish 4, hang on, I'll get to that. But yeah, this year, obviously, me there, I've got some videos as well. I might actually get one posted of when the try was going off, and my hand still hasn't recovered. If I sit here and type too long, I still get pain down here from banging the crap out of that chair and starting that Parra chant. I've never had much fun in a game, more fun in a game, and I've never had a better weekend in my life. But yeah, we'll talk about that another time. And yeah, just those moments of obviously pure ecstasy of when Ray Stone come from nowhere, after me blowing up that we probably screwed it by not taking a field goal earlier. But yeah, that's definitely my top ones there. Like I said, we'll talk about Big Nelson. Actually, no, we won't. We'll come back Nelson because I'm going to get sidetracked.
And just quickly, that will forever be Ray Stone's last moment as an Eel as well.
Yeah.
What better way? You know what I mean? I have no doubt
he might come back.
I have no doubt he probably will come back in a couple of years. But yeah, when he was coming through the grade, and Bert was under 20s coach, Luke always said there's 3 players that will be in first grade, and it was Stone, Dylan Brown, and Reed. And he said Ray Stone will be the next Nathan Highmarsh for Parra. Unfortunately, with injuries and that, he hasn't been, but he still always gives 100%. And yeah, his last, what better way to go out as an Eel than that moment?
And you and I were there for his debut game.
In Melbourne.
In Melbourne
too. I've got it all.
Playing at hooker.
What game was that?
That was game number 1.
Yeah, that was his first debut, not his 5th.
No. What was the full? Was that the finals game or was that a regular season?
No.
It was the regular season.
It was 20. Wasn't it 2020?
Yeah, he come on, and I've got all the videos in my phone. I've got all their debuts. I've got Salmon. I've got Reed's. I've got everyone's. But
who?
That moment.
Reed's was an ANZ against
the one before Reed. Who are you talking about? Can you address him by his full name?
Salmon. Yeah. Anyway, I've got Marauders when he ran on the field for the first time. I got them all. But that moment when he ran on the field and he went into hooker, I said to Troy, "What is he doing at hooker?" and his first pass was about a meter forward along the ground. And the guy behind us in the crowd was like, "You caught it." And we just went, it was just,
Was that
probably-
2020?
Yeah. I'm pretty 2020?
2019. I reckon it was 2019.
2019.
We beat him in 2020. I remember we beat him in 2020. Yeah, we'll come back to that.
That's but yeah,
Um,
it was the funniest.
Now, I told you I'd lose my train of thought. What was I about to talk about? What were we talking about before?
The game this week.
The game this week.
No, the
Nelson.
possibilities. The possibilities. We're going to go through the possibilities first. I said we can still play Melbourne in Melbourne quite easily, actually. If the Cowboys lose and Melbourne beat us, they can still finish above them and finish third, which means we could play them. If we finish sixth, we could play them the week after. Or if the Cowboys do win, which they should, playing a reserve grade Penrith team, we get beat by Melbourne. Melbourne can finish obviously fourth, and we can finish sixth. Is that correct? And we can play them in a prelim final in Melbourne if they knock off Penrith. That's the ways we can play Melbourne. In Melbourne, at home, we can play Melbourne again. If we finish fourth, we beat them. We finish fourth, they'll finish fifth. We lose, we play them the week after at home. So yeah, there's three possibilities. We can play Melbourne, two in Melbourne, one at home. So look, let's talk about. I've pretty much covered it there, but our best possible scenarios, obviously, we win, we finish fourth, we play Penrith. We can't finish fifth unless the Roosters and South Sydney draw, which is looking incredibly unlikely. So if we do lose, we will finish sixth, and we'll play the loser of South Sydney and the Roosters, which I think will be South Sydney, which obviously isn't great for us. We can go through more detail next week. Obviously, if we went on to win that game, we'd be playing the loser of Cronulla and the Cowboys. Look, I think we'll win this week, so I think we will finish fourth, best case, obviously. And there's a couple of reasons I do feel that, but interestingly, looking at it, you've got the Roosters and South Sydney playing each other this week. They could play each other in week one of the finals at the same venue or at a core, depending on who wins that game. So pretty interesting how that's shaping up. Kind of like 2009 with us versus the Dragons. So you kind of lay down and hope for the best in that game if you're South Sydney. But let's move on to Big Nelson. I want to touch on him. Obviously, there's been a fair bit of media build up, beat up this week, whatever you want to call it. Look, he got away with a dog shot on Makatoa down there in round 3. He's been fined 6 times this year. He should have been sent off against the Warriors 3 minutes in the game. It was one of the most disgusting acts and obvious acts I've seen on a football field.
And he's pleaded guilty to all those as well.
He's pleaded guilty, and that's where I
should have been put on report last week against the Roosters as well. There were a couple of shots in that. And when who was it? Was it Verrills playing the ball and he picked him up by the neck trying to play the ball? No need.
He's nothing but a thug, and it brings me to the point of I watch NRL 360, which I very rarely do, but I start to tune into these shows as we get on to finals footy at the end of the season and get a bit more excited. And
that's why you're sounding more professional as you go, mate. Like,
yeah, 100%. Yeah. I actually thought about what we're going to say this week, not what said come to my mind. It's probably safer for me that way too. But the interesting point that they made, and I don't know who made it. It certainly wouldn't have been Braith. But whoever made the point said that it's got to be like a judicial system. It's a judiciary. It's called a judiciary. So we've got to start treating it like one. If Troy punched someone in the head of the Parramatta game on Thursday night, I said Troy Good's the most unlikely to happen. So if Troy punched someone in the head on Thursday night, right, and he got charged and he went to court and he turned around and they said, all right, Troy, you get a warning this time. If Troy does that next year, round 1, they send him to court, he's at least going to get, some kind of charge. He does it again, he's got what they call bail conditions pretty much. If he does it again, he's going to end up in jail. So why do we let a bloke continuously swing arms at people, throw punches, continuously drop elbows on a head, turn around and keep doing the same thing and not get charged for it? It's like 6 fines. It shows he's got a problem. If he got suspended round 3 for a clear swinging arm that I thought was close to a send-off, wasn't even penalised, it was intentional as you can get. I'm getting worked up and coughing.
That's the spicy cough, mate. We won't see you at Eels.
No, I can't wait for another chest infection.
I think this will actually work in our favour.
So do I. That's the point I was getting to, yeah.
Because all the focus will be on Nelson.
Yep.
He won't be able to play his natural game because one little stuff up and he'll be in the bin.
And that's
and then he'll cost himself a finals game.
That's how we've got to approach it. Either Nelson's going to be on his best behaviour, which I don't think is possible, because I said he's nothing but a thug. Do we bait him? We saw Murata start last week.
Murata, nah.
I'd be starting Makatoa as well, because they've got history. And is it worth coming out and putting a shot on him? And obviously, you don't want to get 10 in the bin, because the problem with the NRL is they won't just be focusing on him. They'll be focusing on any niggle in the game and any high shots now. So it's either going to work for us. We're usually a pretty clean team when you look at it that way. So I don't know. Like I said, do you go out and you bait him, or do we just concentrate on our game and let him do something stupid?
Look, this is our biggest game in, as we've said,
2005.
17 years. I know it sounds bad, but if we have someone like a Makatoa, who we do have other players that can replace him, do we take that risk? Yeah. Do we take that risk of him being the beta and getting to Big Nelson? And if he gets 10 in the bin, he gets 10 in the bin, because no doubt if Macca gets 10 in the bin, then Nelson's going to get 10 as well. So we're not going to be a man down. And then if he ends up being suspended, I mean, as I said, it'd be a shame, but we can replace him.
He's replaceable. You're right. Yeah. I agree. It's one of those win at all cost things. Yeah. Someone put up in the Parramatta group about, do we use our captain's challenge if Nelson does anything stupid? And I said, we don't have to use your captain's challenge. You lay down. I know we don't like players laying down, but if he's going to drop an elbow on someone's head, it's active foul play. You win at all costs, and you get yourself off the field. You're going to get yourself a 15-minute break for HIA. That's fine. But as we said, they're going to be free. Exactly like free interchange. They're going to be watching him. Same thing. It's someone like a Makatoa. Get in and bait him. If he reacts and does something to you, fucking milk it. I know I would. I do it in D grade, and there's no bunker. So, look, Hayden, I know you obviously watch a fair few games. You watched him in other games. I'm not the biggest Jared Weir-Hargraves fan, but I love watching him give it to him on Friday night. And the big pussy laid down, didn't he? He just laid there holding his face. So, your thoughts, Hayden? Anything to add?
Yeah. Well, you didn't mention it, but obviously the moment we all want to see some revenge for that. Back the 32-0 in 2019 when Nelson did that right in front of the crowd. I wasn't sitting with the Eels fans. I was actually with Storm fans in Eels colours that night up in the stands. My first time at Annie Park. But yeah, I was watching him closely in that Roosters game, and I was very shocked that he wasn't put on report. At least even. Look, I think a simping was fair, but even just on report, a lot of calls really did go Melbourne's way the other night. So it was great to see the Roosters giving it to them, especially as you mentioned, Jared Weir-Hargraves getting in early and having some niggles. So it'd be great to see Makatoa do the same thing, hopefully on Thursday night for some rematch in the ring.
The other one you didn't mention is Cameron Munster with his elbow as well. Should he be playing this week?
No, he shouldn't. But the NRL seems to have an agenda this year that elbows in the face are okay and spear tackles aren't. So
whatever happened to the penalties about rubbish in the face, on the face?
Rubbish on the face, Cameron. Rubbish on the face.
Can we not send it to the bunker as well? Because Grant Atkins is in the bunker.
Well, that's the problem.
He helped us last week.
He was all right last week because you were nice to him on the plane, mate. That's why.
Yeah, I don't want to know what Troy did.
Come on, mate. He's a former guest in the podcast. You got to be nice to Grant. He watches every week.
Hello, Grant. How you going, mate?
Grant.
How you going, Grant? And check it out.
Mrs. Atkins for me.
Green light. Yeah.
Anyway, look, we'll move on from that. Obviously, get to this week's game. Thursday night. What is it? 1st of September. Combank Stadium.
First day of spring. You can smell finals footy in the air when you get this time of year, can't you? You go there, big crowd builds up. You can sniff it. The excitement's there. You can sense everyone's excitement. Look, the team's unchanged, so I don't really need to go through it. I'm going to go to that quickly. Obviously, the inclusion again of Jacob Arthur. Matt, your boyfriend, misses out again. To me, it shows that Moses still isn't 100%. It's got to be the only reason, because I think we may see a change with our forward pack. We obviously need the big forwards against Melbourne, especially if we're going to sacrifice one early to take off Nelson. But for me, it's a bit of an odd inclusion again. I know why they've done it, but as we touched on earlier, New South Wales Cup, they've got a must-win game this week. So for me, I know he can back up. He's allowed to back up, Jacob. But
if you want to win a New South Wales Cup thing, you kind of want to have a player like that in the team as well. So, interesting approach. Look, where we're going to win this game once again is obviously in our forwards. We've touched on it. We need to get under their skin and just let our halves play footy. I think we will win the game. I'm confident. Like I said, it's our biggest game, and I think we're going to go out there and prove a point against them. It's going to be a little bit of revenge. It's not what I want. It's not Melbourne and Melbourne, but it's going to be nice. It's going to be another nice moment, especially knock them off twice in a year. If we can knock off them and Penrith twice in the same year, people are going to be looking over their shoulder come finals, isn't it? Especially when we obviously will be playing Penrith week 1.
Calm down, Latrell.
Yeah.
Calm down, Latrell.
How'd that go for you, Latrell? Anyway, yeah, you're throwing me off again. You can't distract me like that. You might as well play the space thing, Hayden. I'll just be completely gone. But look, for me, I said going out forwards. I think obviously their danger player comes from Cam Munster. We've got to try and shut him down. They obviously lose quite a bit without Pappenhausen being there. Obviously the cheese can be a bit of a handful as well. This could come back to bite me, but I don't think Harry Grant's hit the heights this year that they expected him to. I know he gets a lot of raps and stuff, but look, I think if you put any hooker in that Melbourne team playing with Cameron Munster and obviously Pappenhausen as well, they're going to get those accolades. So I personally believe Brendan Smith's a better hooker than him, but he's only playing 13 because of his versatility. My opinion. But Cameron Munster, play to watch. I don't really rate, obviously got Coates, but Olam's a great player and he's really evolved. Who's in their other centre? Is it that?
Marion Seve.
Seve, is it? I thought it was Seve. I think looking at our
in the reserves this week.
Yeah. I knew Tom played last week. Who's their other winger?
Norfoluma.
Yeah, that's handy, isn't it? Look,
he does have a good record about scoring tries against.
He loves Parra. Loves playing Parra.
Would he be the first player to play against a team play against Parramatta 3 times in a year?
No. There's been other players, yeah.
There's
others.
It'd be interesting to look at because when you think about it, you don't always play a team twice a year.
We'll get back to the listeners next week.
Yeah.
That's your research for the week, Matt.
Yeah.
Because
I know there was one player that done it as well. I think Brett Finch.
He played for us.
Yeah,
but he would have played twice.
He would have played twice, and then when he went to Melbourne, played another.
Yeah, but I mean against us. He's played against us 3 times.
Yeah,
I think there has been one. I'll look it up.
All right,
we'll get back to the listeners next week.
I want to find that out because that's a little bit interesting. I think their weakness is obviously Seve in the centres. One of the players we can get through, and we just need to get over top of their forward pack, which isn't going to be easy, but. We've seen our forwards do it against Penrith. We've seen them do it, obviously, last week. When they need to turn one on, they'll be ready to turn one on. Obviously, completion rate early and not giving them opportunities is going to be handy. And we need quick play the ball, so we need to work to get those quick play the balls. I'll go to you, Troy, before we go to our predictions. Obviously, your thoughts on the game and where we can win the game.
Yeah, look, you touched on it there. The forwards need to be going forward, obviously.
And the backs need to be going back?
No. Big RCG off the back fence, big Junior as well. They'll lay the platform. I think the game's going to be in the middle, so I think we've got our backs can cover their backs. I think if Mitchell his kicking game with probably Munster at fullback, if he can kick along the ground sometimes, that would be good, find the grass, and actually make him work to get the ball. Instead of kicking it on the full, so then he's got a free run. Got to watch his stripping action as well. Cameron Munster, he's a master at it.
I wouldn't think you'd make many of them at fullback stripping options, would you? When you think about, I was about to say.
Well, yeah, but he can get himself into that position where he's just there, and
I was just going to touch before we continue on about Munster being at fullback. I think one of the things we need to do is. He's so fresh having him at fullback. The kick returns, obviously, usually kick return, you're not going to get whacked as much. You're going to get a quick play the ball. You're not going to get put on your back because you've got so much open space in front of you. It just opens him up attackingly, obviously, to get involved in those 4th and 5th tackles. I think we need to aim to kick at him. We see, obviously, you can usually keep away from the, what's it called? The marquee player in a way. Like you'll see a lot of people avoid kicking to James Tedesco or avoid kicking to Kalen Ponga or like that. if you kick to Munster, I think we really need to emphasize on kick chase and absolutely smash him to try and make him hurt for those
Wear him
4.
down.
Yeah, 100%. Because it's the only way you're going to wear him down by not being in the attacking line.
Yeah. Well, we saw last week with the Roosters as well. They're rushing defence as well, so got to have quick line speed. Just get up in their face. And try and not let them do the offload game as well. Xavier Coates out in the wing, got to watch the cross-field kicks over to him as well. So, that's where the game's going to be won, I think, in the middle with the forwards game.
Yep, Hayden?
Yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be the halves for me. You mentioned it earlier, Munster. I know he may shift to fullback, but I think, as Troy mentioned, the outside back should have him covered. But the creativity needs to be there from Dylan Brown and Mitchell Moses. I mentioned earlier with Mitchell Moses obviously leading the season with try assists, especially off the boot. So expect some kicks out to Wonga and Sevo, I think. I think the halves need to step up, have a huge game. I think we've got them covered in the forwards for the most part, and we could see another late change. We've seen Tui Kamika come in and start the last couple of weeks, and he's been named on the bench this week. So if that happens, I think Junior and Reg can contain that type of player. So, yeah, for me, Munster man to watch, and this battle is going to be won in the halves and the creativity of the 6 and 7.
Do we do a quick late change and put Junior or Reg on the bench?
No.
Matter.
Yes.
He'll do the same. He's found the formula, I think, by having Matter off the bench and starting Murata. So I think that's as much as BA will say, we're just got to take it 1 week at a time. And then they interview like Will Penasini and be like, you got to take it 1 week at a time. Oh, nah, every game's a semi-final now for the last couple of rounds. I think BA's like, it's kind of like he's trying to keep it down low, but I think they've flicked the switch the last couple of weeks. And yeah, I think this game's going to be an eye-opener for the haters that put a red line for us.
It's a good lead.
Parra haters out there, is it? I didn't know that. I thought everyone loved this.
Oh, yeah, no.
It's a good lead into the semi-finals.
Yeah, I think this is their... Like, they flicked the switch the last 2 rounds, and I think they're just going to go on with it now. And we've seen them pull out some trick plays they haven't done, and maybe they might throw a no-look around the back pass against Melbourne. That's worked the last couple times, hopefully. So we'll see what they come up with. But, yeah, I think Dylan's in for a big game. I think that's him and Mitch are just – I think they'll go on a run now.
Yeah, wonderful. All right, let's get to our bowl predictions because I thought you were going to steal mine, so I'm going first. I'm going Parramatta 30-12. I'm going an 18-point win. I think it'll be pretty close. I think we'll get one in the last 5 minutes, and this is not my bowl prediction, but I think I'm going to say it's going to be 12-all at halftime, so I think we'll obviously blow them out in the second half. Once again, not a bowl prediction. My first try scorer, though, in a shock, which I haven't done this year, I'm actually going to go Justin Olam first try scorer. Ooh. So I'm going to go on Melbourne player to score the first try. It'll really shock the crowd, and that's where the crowd needs to come in and bring that hatred and bring that passion and get the boys back in the game. My bold prediction is, us to score 18 points in the second half is pretty bold, nil, but I'm going to go a Dylan Brown double.
Ooh.
Yeah, Dylan Brown double. I think the game he played against Melbourne in Melbourne was pretty much his breakout game earlier in the year. The way that Sean Lane is playing has given Dylan – it's on Dylan. Teams are starting to watch Dylan, which means that it's creating more space for Sean. Obviously, Sean being a big man, they can't get 2 people in the tackle anymore. All you've heard in the last couple of weeks is how well Sean Lane's playing all of a sudden. So what's that do? It takes the pressure off Dylan. Once again, the players start to go into Sean Lane. They're putting 2 in the tackles on Sean Lane. It opens up the space for Dylan to break through. It's a great problem for us to have. It's not a problem. It's just great for us to have, obviously, by teams focusing on Sean Lane. Just give Dylan that space. I reckon he's going to have one of those games. Troy, I'll go to yours next because I know Matt's got his written down already. So.
Yeah. I was going to say, too, like, it helps, too, because on the other side, you've got Mitch and Isaiah. So it's going to be like...
Yep. As long as Felice decides not to elbow someone and take one of them out, we'll see. We should be right with our edges there. All right, Troy, fire it away.
All right, I'll go 22-14. And first try scorer will be, well, I'm sort of going to go along with what you were saying, Adam, actually. So the bold prediction will be that Melbourne will score first. They'll convert. Get the
That's
8.
not really bold. That's a 50-50 chance.
No.
But our record isn't good when they score first. Just saying.
Yeah, and we see what happens sometimes with Parramatta teams. Their heads go down, and but we'll overturn that. They'll get to 8-0 in front, and then we'll come back and win the game. And in terms of an Eels first try scorer, then it'll be. I'm going to go back to the old mate, Will Pennison.
Are we doing Eels as well? No, we can just do it first try scorer. That's fine. You can give us a Melbourne first try scorer.
Okay, well, if
it's first try scorer, not first Parra try scorer.
Okay. Well, Xavier Coates.
Xavier Coates. Yeah. All right, Hayden.
Yeah, I'm going to go a 13 plus victory here once again. I'm going to go 14 points, so 30 points to 16. I reckon.
You're going to say 14 to...
30 to 16.
I thought you were going to say 13 plus, so we're going to win 14. 14 or something.
No. 30 to 16. So I am on the boys to win 13 plus. I'm glad you didn't snake the first try scorer because I've got a feeling I'm going to get one right this week. And I'm going to go Tom Opacek. You've obviously gone Olam in the centres, and I reckon Opacek will run over the top.
Scored a double last week.
I'm going to go Tommy Opacek for the first try scorer. My bold prediction is that I reckon I was almost going to back him for a try, but I think it's pretty hard for a forward to get that pass over the line. So I'm going to say that Junior Paulo records a try assist of his own against Melbourne this weekend, or not weekend, on Thursday night. So
he got one last week. It's not very bold.
You got one last week in a 50-point victory, though. We don't expect to score. Does anyone expect to score?
It was the first try.
It was the first try.
Imagine that, putting 50 on Melbourne the week before semis.
Yes,
they can't win the comp then.
Eggplant emoji. Go, Matt. What do you got?
All right, so I got 28-12. I've gone back to the old 12. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's 16. 16 is a higher number than 13.
I've got Dylan.
Hang on. We're screwed this week. We've all gone too close to each other. Hayden stole me 30. You've stole me 12. Funny enough, you've gone 12. Anyway, keep going, Matt.
I went 14.
Yeah,
Dylan,
congratulations.
Dylan, first try scorer. And my bold prediction is that Jake Arthur will score the last try.
Oh, nice.
Because Jake off the bench, I think they're resting Reed's shoulder. They don't want to risk it, especially after last year. Because if Reed plays that Penrith game, we win. Just saying.
Yes. Cool. All right, well, that's all we've got time for. I said bring the hate on Thursday night. I want to see a passionate Parramatta crowd. It's going to be obviously a pretty big crowd, you think, especially for a Thursday night. I know it'll probably stop some people from coming.
There'll be plenty of booze on Thursday night, and they won't be for Jacob Arthur.
Yeah, correct. That's it. I want to tell you my dream scenario to write us off, to round us off. I'm not writing us off. I've been watching a lot of videos. I do a lot of research. A lot of downtime in my life at the current time. I do a lot of research. I was watching back some 2009 stuff. Do you guys remember when we beat the Titans and the Bring on the Bulldogs chant started? With 10 minutes to go when we were ahead 25-2 at that stage. I want to see that. I want us to be ahead by enough with 5 minutes to go that, let's say, 25,000 people at Comp said, bring on the Panthers. Imagine that as a war cry going in next week with Penrith priority shitting themselves. And obviously a win's massive to obviously play Penrith at Penrith the week after. And the good new exciting news is grand final tickets are on sale. I don't know, I'm giving them a spot, but tickets will go on sale on the Monday, obviously, for that game. And both sets of members actually can buy tickets at 9 a.m. Penrith members don't get a priority access.
Because it's NRL
sanctioned game. So what that means is, well, Penrith probably would have been better off just moving the game to ANZ, to be honest, because everyone can get on there. There'll be a 50-50 crowd for sure, depending how quick people can get tickets. So if we win this week, we go to Penrith and we can make Penrith our fortress as well, already being there this year with probably, 4,000 or 5,000 Parramatta fans. If we can get 10,000 or 11,000 Parramatta fans there, it'll be massive. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
Well, how about we start that chant in the stands and.
Oh, 100%. I'm sitting elsewhere this week. I'm going to be pretty close to the drum, and if we're ahead, we'll be starting that, and you boys will be around the ground, and we'll get it going. So I'll drop you a message, and you'll get everyone to join in. So wonderful. All right. See you all Thursday.
On Thursday. Go Parra.
Go Parra. We'll be back next week for a finals preview.